my gun has no anti-recoil applied right now. To set this up, scroll all the way down to the bottom of your binding section and click the plus icon. Select your shoot button, set it to aim down sight only, and then click the little wrench icon in the top right corner. In that menu, you need to enter how many bullets are in your magazine, and the rounds per minute that your gun fires. After that, you'll see a section that lets you control how your bullets are spaced while you're tracing. Depending on what value you set here, if you use a positive value, your pattern will pull up. If you use a negative value, your pattern will pull down. This doesn't change your final anti-recoil at all. This is only here to help you see and track each bullet more clearly while you're doing the setup. If your bullet holes are too close together and it's hard to see each one, you can adjust this to spread them out more. If they're too far apart, you can adjust it to bring them closer together. This is just a helper tool while you're building and tracing the pattern. Once the anti-recoil is actually generated, this value does nothing to your real recoil. Once you've entered everything, shoot a full magazine at a wall and trace it bullet by bullet. Do this about 3 to 7 times. If you mess it up, just click reset and restart. You want to get this as clean and as fast as you can. In games like PUBG, the bullet holes or dots on the wall disappear pretty quickly, so you can't sit there for 5 minutes trying to follow every single bullet perfectly. Do it quickly like I'm doing, and if it still feels off, you can fine-tune it using the steps at the end. Once you hit accept, XIM will generate your anti-recoil and show you a graph with 3 main things: an X value, a Y value, and an option that controls how many smart actions are in your anti-recoil binding. I recommend try and get as many in as possible. You can use this screen to fine-tune what you just built. The Y value is your vertical control. If your gun is not pulling down enough, add a bit of plus to the Y value. If it's pulling down too hard, make the Y value a little more negative or reduce how much minus you've got. The X value is your horizontal control. On the graph, you'll see the line leaning slightly left or right. If the pattern leans or drifts one way, you can add plus or minus on the X value to push it back the other way. You can literally watch the graph lean in the direction of your adjustment, so it's easy to see what you're changing. Make small changes, look at the graph, then test it by shooting another full mag at a wall. Repeat that until the line on the graph and the spray pattern on the wall both look and feel right. First, look at all the smart actions Zim has created for your anti-recoil. I personally don't like my anti-recoil to pull left or right at all. I want it to only pull straight down, and I control the left and right myself with my mouse. So the first thing I do is delete every single action that has any angle left or right. I only keep actions that are at 180 degrees, which is straight down. Once I've cleaned that up, I look at the strength numbers. For example, if most of the pull values are around 5, but I see a bunch of 8s sitting in the middle, I'll smooth those out. I'll bring those 8s down to maybe 6, so the pattern is more consistent and doesn't suddenly yank down harder in random spots. After that, I add a 0% pull action at the very end of the smart action chain and test it. I shoot a full mag at a wall. I check, does my gun stop shooting when the mag is empty? Does the pull down recoil also stop right when the last bullet is fired? If the recoil keeps pulling after the gun has stopped shooting, I know the timeline is too long. So I go back in and adjust the wait timers and pull timers between the actions. I keep shortening or spacing them out until the very last pull down action lines up exactly with my last bullet in the magazine. If the recoil keeps pulling after the gun has stopped shooting, I know the timeline is too long. So I go back in and adjust the wait timers and pull timers between the actions. I keep shortening or spacing them out until the very last pull down action lines up exactly with my last bullet in the magazine. If you keep messing around with this over a few weeks, or a month, you'll start to really understand how it behaves and you'll be able to dial it in properly without overthinking it. It takes time and effort. I've been going hard at this, no diddy. But I have really putting the work in and messed around with the settings to understand the full capabilities. Doing the anti-recoil workshop is a very good start. If you don't know how to even create smart actions from scratch, the workshop is perfect for getting you going. Personally, I can create the perfect recoil for any gun, at any range, without touching the workshop at all, just by using the timers, angles, and options Zim gives you. But if you want to use the workshop, go for it. Like I said, it's a great baseline. What I would normally do is run 1 or 2 recoil traces in the workshop. Let it build the smart actions for me. Then go in and add and edit all my own wait timers and values manually. The nice thing about the workshop is it gets you very close, because it automatically adds wait timers that are matched to your magazine size and fire rate. But there's a problem. If you leave it exactly how it builds it by default, it never actually ends. It will just keep cycling the pattern over and over. To fix that, you must add a proper ending. Add a 0% pull at the very end of the chain. Then put an infinite wait timer after that. That tells Zim, once we hit this point, stop pulling down and just stay here. Without that 0% plus the infinite wait, your recoil never properly finishes when your mag is empty. If you follow these steps step by step, you'll be able to replicate exactly what I've done. It's really not that hard. This setup is really only for mouse and keyboard. If you're on a controller, you're probably going to struggle to properly trace your bullets once you start shooting, just because you don't have the same control and precision as a mouse. You also need to make sure your fire button is inactive while you're doing this. When you set it up, you'll see a warning saying you can't have your normal shoot button active at the same time. So you either disable your existing fire button binding, or override it with the smart action we're creating now, and then add a new one in properly once this is set up. If this video helped you out, drop a like or a comment. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to help. And if this got you absolutely dialed in and your recoil is feeling clean after following these steps, then you have to subscribe.